welcome to Glitter and Chaos. We are your co-hosts. I'm Caitlin Mead, licensed clinical professional counselor and registered play therapist.
And I'm Kaylee Patton-Dieters, licensed clinical marriage and family therapist.
Today we're going to talk about hard things. We're constantly surrounded by hard things, whether that's in your personal life, daily life, your relational life, the world around us. We're just constantly surrounded by hard things.
So how do you deal with them?
Yeah, so how do you deal with them?
When you're constantly, in some way or another, in some level of intensity, how do you deal with them?
Yeah.
How do you deal with hard things?
Before we kind of get into that, though, you're going to notice we look a little different today.
Yes.
We're both wearing red. I am wearing a shirt that says, sometimes the things we can't change end up changing us. Kaylee's wearing red. As you're aware, because I'm sure it's everywhere around you and you hear about it, February is Heart Month through the American Heart Association. We also right now happen to be in CHD Awareness Week. The heart world, CHD world happen to be something very important to both of us. And so we're wearing red right now to bring awareness to that and to shine light on that. Because it's, like I said, something very personal and real in our world.
And it's another way to just bring awareness to how to take care of your heart.
Yeah.
Both, I think, physically and emotionally. Just take care of your heart.
Yes.
Because we talk about the heart as a physical thing, because obviously, but we also talk about heart as in an abstract emotional thing.
Yes. And it ties all together.
Yeah.
Also ties in today's session of doing hard things. Session. You can tell I'm a therapist. Today's episode, default. Today's episode of doing hard things. And how doing hard things and trauma and just life in general affects you. And then how do you deal with it? And how do we deal with it? How do you deal with it authentically?
Yes.
When the chaos around you becomes so overwhelming and so consuming, how do you deal with it? How do the people around you handle it or handle you handling it? And how do you give yourself grace while you're doing it? And I preach that all the time because I feel like sometimes we get into a rhythm or you get into a situation when you're in the midst of some really hard stuff. And I want to put a caveat here too. And Kaylee and we've talked about this before. Everybody goes through things. And what might be Kaylee's hard might not be my hard, and vice versa. Nobody gets to decide what your level of hard is because everybody's threshold for comfortableness, for trauma, for stress is very different. Our level of tolerance is different. And Kaylee's going to talk later about locus of control. But we have that different, I call it pain tolerance, but I think it's also like a trauma tolerance. We have that different level. Some might be higher, some might be lower.
And we've talked about the window of tolerance in other episodes too. It's just, it's all interwoven together. Yes, there's the pain tolerance, the window of tolerance, you said another tolerance.
Trauma
tolerance, there we go. It's like, nope, gone.
And I think it varies too. Like I know for some people, I know for myself, I don't have any wood to knock on anywhere when I'm about to say this. Yeah, I do right here.
It's about the closest thing you got.
I feel like when in my life, and sometimes it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, going through so much, my tolerance level has gotten maybe a little bit higher. And I don't know if it's tolerance or numbness. And it might be more of the numbness of like, so I was just watching a reel. And I don't know if anybody, I'm sure a lot of you have seen The Emperor's New Groove. The part where they're about to go over the waterfall and the guy's the llama. And he's like, the guy's like, the Emperor's like, don't tell me. We're about to go over a waterfall. And the guy goes, yep. And he goes, bring it on. And so like
Sharp rocks at the bottom?
Sharp rocks at the bottom. Bring it on. And I just laugh at that because at that point, the llama has gone through like all of these trials. And he's like, all right, it's just par for the course. And so I think sometimes our tolerance to those things, you either get numb.
Yeah. I mean, numb is an option.
Or you roll with it.
So tolerance can be both a good and a bad thing. Tolerance can be good in the ways of it increases your window of tolerance to where you can deal with a little bit more stressors and you can deal with them in healthy ways. But then you can also increase your tolerance to where if you've experienced multiple traumas, you've experienced multiple bad things in your life, to where you move more towards the numbness. So tolerance is kind of, depending on how you're referencing it, either I don't want to, helpful or not helpful. I don't want to say good or bad, because I don't feel like those words really fit in this particular situation. There's helpful and there's unhelpful.
Right. And you and I kind of talked about this before. I think sometimes we go into maybe crisis mode where whatever we need to feel might go on the back burner for a minute, which is, I need to handle the situation at hand.
The fire in front of me.
Right. The fire in front of me. And I have to set whatever I'm feeling aside for a second to deal with whatever's in front of me.
Yeah.
And then, so compartmentalizing. I need to compartmentalize, put it in boxes. And then once the fire is simmering or slow burn or whatever you want to call it,
manageable,
then I can deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I think that those are things that we wanted to talk about today, which was, there's no right or wrong way to deal with it. Again, with another caveat, you can't be self-destructive. You can, not going to end well for you. It's not, those are, it's not going to be helpful. And those are not, that's the appropriate time to use that word. It's not, that's not what we want to encourage. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to deal with what you're feeling, knowing that what you're feeling is normal.
Regardless of what the emotion is.
Right.
I think that's another expectation that's placed on a lot of people, is you need to feel this way. You should feel this way. And if you don't feel those certain emotions when it occurs, then you don't feel like you're maybe doing it correctly. I mean, I don't have another word other than that, because there's a lot of expectations when you go through a certain hard thing that you're supposed to do, you're supposed to say, you're supposed to feel. And if you don't do, say, or feel those certain things, then it's like, how I feel like I'm feeling, or I feel like I'm not doing this correctly. And maybe that's more, in line with some certain lines of thinking, maybe more perfectionist thinking. But I think other people who don't experience perfectionist-like thinking experience that as well. There's a spectrum of emotion that you can experience when you are going through or have experienced a hard thing. And there, like we said, there's no right or wrong way. There's healthier ways, and there's, less unhealthy ways, and less, unhelpful ways that you can go through the thing. But it's your thing. Nobody else gets to decide what your thing is. You get to decide that. But then it's showing up for yourself, and it's showing up authentically as you need in the moment. It's listening to your values. It's listening to your needs, and hopefully communicating that to the people who are at your table, who are there to support you.
Right.
And giving yourself grace, like you had said earlier, of you're not going to get it right. I'd love to say that you're going to get it right every single time, but you're not. And so let's release that expectation that I'm going to handle this perfectly. And I'm going to wrap it up in a nice little bow, and then I get to put it in my little corner of my containments, or my, compartmentalization, right. And then I'm done. That's not how that works.
No, it's not going to be pretty.
No.
Like, none of this is going to be pretty. It's not. It's going to suck. Like we embrace the suck, because it's going to suck. In multiple ways. It's going to suck your energy. It's going to suck the energy out of the people around you, and again, the people at your table, they're going to walk through it with you. Like, I often use, and that's part of this podcast, we use ourselves as examples. The trauma, the big trauma and the micro traumas that myself and my family went through 7 years ago. And oftentimes we're still dealing with micro traumas along the way.
Yep.
Kaylee is one of the people at my table. I have other friends at my table. They have walked and continue to walk alongside me with that. And she'll tell you, it's not pretty. Like, there are times that it's
hard times.
It's downright ugly. But not once has Kaylee told me how I should walk this path. It's a very okay, we'll walk it with you, knowing that this path is very uncertain. And
It's a nice balance because sometimes I'm more of the we'll figure out as we go, kind of let's build the airplane as we're flying it. And we've talked about before how that is something very different between us. You do not thrive that way.
No.
That is not something that you prefer.
No.
And so in that moment, I am the balance to that. When we're trying to, so like locus of control, when we're trying to find things that we can control in a very uncontrollable situation, we are just reaching for anything that we can. And sometimes there's only a very few things that you can actually control. And that's what you do, and to a point, what you say. And you need that balance sometimes in that moment when you're just trying to reach for anything and exerting control, maybe over things that you don't have control over.
Right. And I think, again, you have to recognize, like Kaylee said, you're not going to handle every situation perfectly. And the people at your table are not going to expect you to. That's the key. You need to surround yourself, when we're handling hard things, you want to surround yourself with people that are not going to expect you to handle it perfectly, that are going to give you grace, not just giving yourself grace, but people in your life that will give you grace. You also, when we're talking about trauma and dealing with trauma, and I don't want to just talk about trauma. Like, I want to talk about stressors. We want to talk about things around us in our lives that we cannot control. Really focusing on what we can control.
Yeah. And not all stressors are traumatic, and not all trauma turns into stressors. And that, I mean, that's a very nuanced way of looking at it. And I'm sure some people would disagree with that, but that's a whole nother line of research that we're not going to get into today. But when we're dealing with stressors and we're trying to find that locus of control, it's checking in with your body and seeing what you need in that moment. Because sometimes you need a person, you need that physical person right next to you to either say something that's helpful, just be there right there for them. You don't necessarily need them to say or do anything. Just having that friend, body, person next to you can be helpful. But then it's checking into yourself and saying, where am I at right now? In the chaos that is swirling around me, how is the chaos inside of me? And so one of the easiest things, and this has been all over the place. I mean, you'll see it on any social media. It's talked about in books. It's all over. It's a grounding technique called the 5-4-3-2-1. And this is utilizing your primary 5 senses. Now we've talked about there's 8 sensory systems, but this one's primarily working on the 5 major ones that we all know. And it can be done anywhere. So when we think about coping strategies and finding coping strategies to deal with hard things and to deal with stressors, it's kind of our opinion that we not only need to have a large toolbox of multiple different coping strategies, but we need to have coping strategies that you can do at any point in time. No matter where you're at, you can do it at that point in time. And that's one of the reasons we like this one.
Easily accessible.
You can do it literally anywhere. Now, the order is whatever you feel most comfortable with. Usually you start out with 5 things you can see, because that's the most stimuli out there in your visual field. The next one can either be hear or touch. It doesn't matter. For this example, we'll just do 5 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, so tactile, 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. Because smelling and the tasting sometimes can be a little bit harder depending on the environment you're in. Like if you're in a restaurant, you can, definitely switcheroo some of those because you're going to have different stimuli that you can attend to. And then so at the very end of the 5-4-3-2-1, I encourage people to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, because I feel like that is a good, when we were talking about this earlier, she said it was a nice closing kind of piece to it. And I agreed. I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Closing statement.
I hadn't really thought about it that way. And once I got to digest that a little bit more, I was like, yeah, that actually makes it's a nice closing piece to this thing. And you can continue to do it as long as you need. And there's multiple different ways that if you don't want to do the sensory piece at that time, just pick pick one of your sensory systems and just notice all of the different things in that sensory system. Or pick a color. Especially if you're in an environment that has a variety of many different things, just pick a color and name all the things or identify all the things of the same color. There's many different ways that you can, when you feel like you're spinning and you feel like you're reaching out for control, that you don't have things to control, this is one thing you can do.
And that was one of the things, we talk about, and I talk about it with my clients a lot, is is your circle of control. It's a CBT technique. It's your circle of control. You're looking at, if we all look at the two different circles. So we talk about our circle, which is the small circle. It's supposed to be what you can control. And then we look at the big circle on the outside of it. And the outside circle is all the things around us we can't control. And if you think of it that way, it's so super overwhelming. But if you reframe that and you flip it to, I don't have to look at the things in that big circle. I just have to look at what's in the small circle. How freeing is that? When you think about, I don't have to focus on all that noise, all that crap.
It takes the expectations off.
Yes. And then you just look at what's in the small circle, which honestly in the small circle is very few things, because you really actually only have control over very few things. Yourself, your reactions. That's pretty much it. And so what I really encourage people to do at that point is recognize flipping from, oh my gosh, I don't have control over so much, to I don't have to control. Like, I don't have to worry about those things, because what are you gonna do? I mean, really, there's not much you can do. And so flipping that and then really focusing on that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever sensory category you want to focus on, really takes a lot of that pressure off. And you feel like physically when I have to, and I say that as a person who often has to reframe my thoughts in that matter, I can physically feel a weight just kind of come off my chest in the fact of, okay, like I really just have to focus on me and the tiny human that's in my house that still is reliant on me. And so, but outside of, and the 2 fur kids that run around too, but that's it.
Yeah. And so you talk about how you reframe your thoughts a lot more. And so, and we've talked about how we have our own coping strategies, and what she likes is not always something that I like. And I immediately go to, when I feel that things are spinning or there's a lot going on or I have a lot of stressors in my life, I really go towards body-based stuff.
Yeah.
So again, with the sensory self-soothing is in there, but then I'm also noticing I use a lot more movement or my vestibular system than I really gave myself credit for. I knew it was one that I utilize a lot because I like dancing, I like movement, things like that. But I didn't, once I started to really tune in and notice how much I use it a lot more than I gave myself credit for. But that in that moment is what my body is needing. And I'm attempting to tune into it a little bit more to see what I'm needing, or maybe even ask someone else to help support me or to remind me on certain things. Because sometimes my brain does get very busy. And when it is chaotic all around you and you have a lot of stressors, or you're going through this really hard thing, sometimes it is harder to keep track of all of the things that are going on, or that you maybe have set some like small personal goals or something like that. Sometimes those have to go on the back shelf so you can deal with the immediate fire in front of you.
Right.
And it's sometimes, you need to use who's at your table for that.
Which you and I have learned to feed off of one another in the different ways to support one another. Like I talked about how Kaylee will often reframe or challenge or walk beside me on things. Same goes for her. Like we will often feed off of one another and learn what the other needs in those circumstances. So I guess that's the other point to this too, is find who's at your table. Find who's if you watch several or a few podcasts back, we had a podcast on who's at your table. Rely on those people, utilize those people, have those people utilize you. That's what that's there for. Is that support system, not just for the good things, but also for the challenging days. So important to use that. Yeah.
Another thing that just kind of struck me, as I was kind of thinking about what we wanted to say for this podcast, was even when you are going through a really hard thing or multiple hard things all at once, is how can you find a little bit of joy? I'm not saying like euphoric, like jovialness, like just a tiny bit
nugget
of joy. Ooh, nugget. I like that. Or I kind of go back to my 10% more comfortable. How can you make yourself 10% more comfortable? Maybe in this one is how can you find like 10% of joy? Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, again, we're not looking, I mean, I guess we could kind of do the opposite effect kind of coping skill there. If you're feeling a certain way, trying to feel the opposite one, that's more in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. But this is more of what kind of, I don't even want to say this out loud, but it came to my brain. What sparks joy?
As she growls. As the growly face comes out.
Like, I don't even want to say it, but it's like, it is, I mean, it was catchy for a reason, but how can you, like, infuse a little bit of joy in the day? It doesn't have to be big. It can be very small.
Right. We don't want to be like positive Pollyanna over here and be like, oh, you can't be negative. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying like, you're sad, so now you need to be glad.
Yeah, no,
like,
absolutely
this is not a get glad in the same pants you got mad in situation. Okay?
I still devolve into laughter when you say that.
This is a, like, where can I find just that little piece? Not huge, but just enough to give me a taste.
Trying to think of what are some small things that bring me joy. I know that sometimes... Instagram Reels make, yes, and I still send quite a bit.
I'm better about checking those, by the way.
She has gotten better. Those are ones, but I have to be careful. Like, I can get sucked in, and then it's just that constant dopamine sieve that ADHD brains experience. So I'm trying to think of or having like a little treat. So I love fruit snacks.
I like blow pops.
Okay, so fruit, something that's just, again, it's a fruit snack. You can get them almost anywhere. And it's just something that brings a little bit of
her toddler treats.
Yes, my toddler treats. I love them. They're shelf sustainable. I can put them in my bag. I have food.
I can't say much. We have a whole drawer of them in our kitchen.
Yeah. I mean, they work. They work.
I also have a child at home, so.
Yeah, well, we both have reasons, and they're both our individual reasons.
They're valid.
They're both valid reasons.
I think the adults in our house eat them. In my house, eat them more than the child does. Just saying.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some other things that I've done recently. Like, what have I done today? That had sparked joy? Blech.
Your cat, probably.
Yeah. I've spent some time with my pet. That was good. Yeah. And then I had some, moments of connection with my partner, and yeah. Those are good ones. And again, they're maybe seconds at a time. It doesn't have to be very long either. There's no time limit on this. It can be as long or as little as you need.
I took a walk up Main Street.
Yeah.
Like a brief walk.
In the sunshine, because it's an uncharacteristically, can't say the word today, warm day in February.
In Kansas, and I am here for it. Here for it. It's not supposed to be like this. Love it.
This is weird.
Love it. Found out that the groundhog is only correct 30% of the time.
Okay.
He can be wrong this winter.
I don't know.
I'm loving it. Loving it.
That would be an interesting side tangent on that. But I will digress and use that for my own research.
My small amount of joy today is the fact that it is 70 degrees outside.
Which is insane.
I'm going to open my windows when I get home.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Ooh, that would be another thing that would be joyful.
Is light some candles.
Have you ever heard of like the house burping thing?
The what?
Yeah. Apparently it's done a little bit more in like the European, Scandinavian countries, that when it's during the winter months or the colder months, they burp their house.
They open the windows?
Yeah. For like 10 to 15 minutes to just let everything get out.
So I did that yesterday. Because it's been sick season. Bad here. And so yesterday, I'm pretty sure my husband did come home and was like, so the windows are open. And I was like, I am airing it out.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm burping it out.
Yeah.
Burping the house
it
out. Burping it out. That is my new favorite term.
I like it.
I'm going to text that to people.
I like it.
Burp your house today.
But I love the delicious chaos of that statement. I don't
think burping is delicious.
Well, okay. So what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying is the delicious chaos of it is that it's the statement that people genuinely don't, think of something as polite to burp, but at the same time, it's like you were reclaiming it to something that is funny, that is kind of, I don't know,
funny, serious at the same time. Though. Like I had to, although the screen on my bedroom window started to come off, and I was pretty sure my cats were about to make an escape because my house is a circus, but literally had to air out my house. Okay. My son was like,
but I think that's a great idea.
My kid was like, what are you doing? And I was like, listen, man, it's been germ fest in here. Like, air purifier's going, get everything out.
Just a nice little, rotational, and I think that's a good idea.
There's your joy for today.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the idea. It was a long roundabout way to get there, but
we still got there.
We got there.
We still got there. It was still a good moment. It was a good moment.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how we got there. Find joy in the journey.
There you go. There you go. Since we're just using all of the phrases. All of the phrases.
It's catchphrase day.
Yep. But I don't know. Like even this moment right here where we just got to be silly for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's choosing joy. And sometimes a really hard thing. We all have to-do lists. We all have things we have to do. We all have stressors in our lives.
I'm going to be honest with you. The podcast is my joy. It's one of the joyful moments for me. I know Kaylee and I both had a lot of reservations starting the podcast. Like there was a lot of nerves, and there still are. Yeah. Like there still are. There's still feelings attached to it, but I will tell you that this has become a highlight of my week. I enjoy just having conversation and just talking about things that we're passionate about and sharing it with you, however many of you sit down and watch it. It's just comfortable talk for us.
And it's nice, for those that do support us, and it's a different way to connect with people.
Yeah. So I don't know, this is a joy for us too. So, we want you to remember that you can do the hard things. And I don't want to just say hard things, hard seasons, because it's not just things or micro moments. We are aware that there are seasons. We have been through seasons. We continue to go through seasons. Know that you can find your people, find your table, but also recognize that there's no right or wrong way to do it. Don't be destructive, but
use your powers for good.
Yes, use your powers for good and not evil. Let's not be evil superhumans. Let's be good superhumans. We need more of that. Well, we thank you for joining us today, and we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and that it brought you not only some practical things that you can try, but also some, I'm going to throw the word out there again, some joy. But that today was a little bit lighter for you.
Yeah. Even if it was a short amount of time, we hope that this brought some, not only physical lightness, but some emotional lightness as well. Yeah. To find find silly in the ordinary.
Yes. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye.